So I'm Deepti Asthana. I'm a documentary photographer. I cover stories of women in India. So traveling as a solo woman in India is still considered an alien thing, and women photographers are a different breed, a new breed. People are not used to see women photographer traveling to these very remote locations. So one of the most frequent questions asked to me is, why am I traveling alone? And probably the next question is, where's my husband? So such questions get raised when you're trying to do something which is not conventional or which is not normal for the society. While I'm trying to figure out what exactly is normal, I really feel that it's very important that we don't succumb into this kind of pressure. We really don't need anyone's approval to follow our dreams. And we don't need to limit ourselves just because we are women. So allow me to tell you a little story about myself. I had a very humble beginning. I grew up in a very small town, and when I was just 3, unfortunately, my father passed away. And my mother, as a single parent, she had to fight for the basic rights. She had to fight for the dignities. And she was not allowed to work when my father was alive. And now she had to go out and earn living for us. Thankfully, she managed to give us the basic education, but choosing a career as unorthodox as photography was out of the question. It was about the survival at that time. So I grew up to become an engineer in a state which is known for its violence against women, which is known for the crime rate. So I was made feel guilty. I was made feel responsible for the things which I didn't do. I was made feel guilty just because I was a girl. And I knew that I needed to break this cycle. I really needed to come out of it. I need to find a way to escape. And for me, the way to escape was through education. So I studied hard, became an engineer, and got this safe and secure job as an engineer, only to find out later that safety and security of that cubicle could be very suffocating. So in 2012, a colleague of mine, he handed over me a camera to take some pictures. And that was the first time I held a digital camera in my hand. And I really felt something, like I can do something with it. This is something which is going to be a long way. So after that, and that's how photography invaded in my life. And after that, I think my life became about photography. So I traveled across length and breadth of India. India is a huge country. I really feel that there are so many countries within one country. So I traveled to different cities, and I traveled to different villages, some of the remotest villages. And I actually find that there are 2 Indias. One is urban India, another one is rural India. And the gap between these 2 Indias is a huge. The contrast is huge. So if you see, India is emerging as a global power. The cities are growing rapidly, they are developing rapidly. But the villages are far, far behind. You will still find villages where there are no schools, no electricities, no way to commute, no roads. In the cities, the women are seizing the power, they are taking up the leadership roles, they're fighting for the rights. But in the villages, the baby girls are still being killed, given away, sold. The widows are still outcasted. And there's still child marriage, which is being practiced widely. So the contrast between the urban India and rural India was really, really huge. in such a way that the people from the urban India are not able to identify with the issues of the rural India. And that is how the project came in the picture, that I really wanted to bring these two people close and make a handshake between them so that they identify with each other through pictures, through images, through stories. So before I talk more about the project, I just want to go through some of the pictures and some of the stories of the women. She is Bharti. She's 13-year-old. This picture was taken in Gujarat. So I was there in the salt pan early in the morning, and she was sitting right there. And we were just chatting. And she was a very cheerful girl. So we were just chatting, and she was very surprised to see me that a girl has come all the way alone with her camera. So she found it a way, kind of inspiring. So she was asking me the right kind of questions. She was a curious child and, very intelligent sort of child. And I was thinking in my mind that this girl, when she grows up, she can be anything. And suddenly I see that, she gets up, and then she starts to lift this heavy salt pan. And then earlier I thought maybe she's just accompanying her parents, and then I was kind of shocked that this little girl, she has very thin arms, and she's lifting this heavy salt pan. And I really wanted to know that, whether she goes to school, so I figured out that she doesn't go to school. And her father, kind of insisted her that if you want to stay at home, you have to work. And this interaction kind of impacted me, that I cannot be mute about it. I just cannot overlook these stories. I really have to write about it. Child labor is a criminal law, and there are still kids who are stuck in this kind of situation, generation after generation. So that's how, the impact on me which was created. And I started to take this project more and more seriously and talk about it more excessively in different forums, in social media, in newspaper, and publications, so that it's a reality. There's nothing to hide. It's not that I don't love my country. I want it to be better, and that's why I'm telling these stories. So this picture was taken in River Narmada. If you see, these women are really free. They're having a good time. They're having this friendly swimming competition among each other. But in the usual scenario, you will see that rural women in India are supposed to cover themselves. They are supposed to cover their faces. They're supposed to cover their body. This is not acceptable. But here they are in the women-only section. So they feel this sense of freedom, this sense of joy. And I really wanted to capture that sense of joy, that women can be really free and happy if they are not bothered, if they are left alone. So this is what I wanted to capture. And this is probably a very expensive picture, not in a way that I made a lot of money, because I lost my phone while shooting this picture. These two women, they are from the mountains of Uttarakhand. These two are sisters, and they belong to a backward caste. Unfortunately, casteism is still very prominent in India. And these people are considered untouchables. So they have very, very limited opportunities for the job, for the education. And what usually happens, they end up serving the people from the upper caste, which further exploit them. So these women have actually never seen a picture of themselves. And they really wanted to see how they look in the picture. So we were ready for this picture-perfect memory for the sisters. And somehow this little guy, he came in somewhere, jumping from somewhere, and inserted this tea filter in between. And the expression of the mother changed. She's like, very angry at the moment. So I got something very different than what I intended to do. Not a picture perfect, but I really like the way it is. This is a picture of a school in Tamil Nadu. It's an open class. There's no roof, there's no walls, no shelter. It's great to have open class. It's great to have, it's a good way to learn things, but not when you have a temperature 50 degrees Celsius or above. And this village, it doesn't have any electricity, and the roads were like it happened 2 years back. There's no secondary school. The girls drop out school after class 8. By the time they are 15, they are married. And by the time they are 18, they already have their children, right? So this is a picture in the fisher community. These fishermen, what they're doing is they're pulling the net. The net is heavy, some like 1,000 kilogram or more. So you usually see only men doing this kind of hard work. But there is this girl named Amudha. She is working and making money doing this kind of work. And what she gets is some 50, 100 rupees per day, which is like 2, 3 ringgits. And the men, they get the weekly profits, whatever profit they make as a fisherman. So there's a difference between how these people are being paid despite of doing the same kind of work. And above all that, this woman's husband has left him because she works with other men, and he has got this idea that she might be having multiple affairs. So first, they're not allowed to work, but if they work, there are some consequences like this. These are the other women. Again, these are abandoned by their husbands. I don't know what's wrong with that village. It's very usual practice that men just walk out from the marriage without any divorce, without any, nothing under the law, without any compensation. This girl's name is Narmada. She studies in class 3. And she has got 5 more younger sisters. So girls are seen as a liability in a way, and hence they are not desired. So what usually happens in these villages that people keep having children until they have the baby boy. And sometimes it just doesn't happen. Of course, the science, the X chromosome, Y chromosome and everything, it didn't happen. So the father of this girl, he didn't have enough money to take care of 5, 6 daughters. So he started to giving away the daughters, whoever can, accept the daughters. So she stays with her grandmother, who's 70, and she's pretty old. So this girl helps out her grandmother to earn some money so that they can eat. That's her bringing the wood log back to the home so that they can cook. These women are doing some very incredible work. The village they belong to doesn't have much in agriculture. There's a terrible situation of agriculture at the moment because of drought. So what they do is they do the knitting, and they make these woolen products, shawls and sweaters, and they sell those products. And that's how they make money. So the group of 50 women, they have made a community among each other, and now they have a sustainable way to make money. And I was trying to promote their work. So this picture is very funny. It kind of reminds me of my own childhood. When you talk to your grandfather and you want to make sure that you have a safe distance in case he's not in mood today. So these guys are nomads from Gujarat. What they do is they travel from one place to another place in a bullock cart, and they sell stuff, and then they move to the next place. So they are here just for, like 1 night, 2 nights. And I caught them early in the morning when, they are having this morning interaction, when the girl is making a request to his grandfather. It's extremely patriarchal community. Women are not supposed to open their mouth. They are not supposed to show their faces. That's the mother of the girl. She's carrying this small kid. And if you notice there's a smoke there, so what they use these local stoves, which is really, really harmful, not just for the ladies, also for the children, just because they are always clinging to the mother. And there are many, many deaths happen because of this smoke. That's another picture from a sugar factory. These are the migrant people. What they do is they move from one place to another place to find work, stay there for 6 months, make some money, save some money, and then go back to their home state because there's no work at their home state. So usually what happens is these people don't have the proper documents, they don't have the proper ID cards, so it's very easy to exploit them. And that's what happened in these factories. And they live in a very inhuman condition. There's no schools, there's no hospital, there are no toilets, and they have these thatched rooms where they live. So if you see these three women, they're trying to cover themselves with the scarf and with a shirt and everything. And if you see the third lady, she's carrying a baby. So they always carry their baby along with them. And if the babies are living in this condition, they never get to see the school. And when they grow up, they ended up becoming this kind of labor, the bonded labor. So the cycle is endless. They are not able to escape this cycle for many generations. So if you see this little girl, she has got the eye infection, but there's nothing much they can do about it because there are no hospitals there. And that's how they live. If you see the background, there are some thatched houses, and they cook using the remaining husk from the sugar canes. This picture is from Rajasthan. In Rajasthan, women are supposed to cover their faces all the time, no matter what their age is. So this lady is pretty old. I believe she is 68, and that's her husband. So, and this practice is so widely being practiced in Rajasthan that the women there, they're not allowed to work at all because they're not supposed to be walking, with an open face in the public. And this practice started sometime in 16th century when Muslim invaders came to India and women were being raped and murdered, and they wanted to protect themselves. So they wanted to cover themselves. But somehow things changed. Muslim invader came and they went. Britishers came and they went. And this practice didn't change. It is still happening at the moment, even now in 21st century. Some of the stories and some of the girls are so inspiring that it actually changed my whole perspective of doing things. One of such story is story of this girl. She is Shara. When she was young, there were no schools in that villages. Or what she used to do is she used to wake up 3 a.m. in the morning, walk 8 kilometers to the bus stand, catch the bus, go to school, come back, again walk back 8 kilometers and reach home 8 in the evening. That's how she studied all her life till class 12. And she got some excellent grades, and someone saw her mark sheet, and she was given a government job. So she was the first girl in the village to get a government job, which was really, really inspiring for other girls because now they wanted to study. And now Sharanya wants to go to college. She has completed her school and she wants to go to college. But her marriage was fixed when she was very young, and her would-be mother-in-law and husband are not happy for her to go to the college. So she was really sad. I tried to talk it out with her family, and I hope that she might be going to the evening college now. That's a Muslim woman in Madhya Pradesh, MP. Her name is Shakeel. She's a widow. In Muslim community, women don't work much. They're not supposed to, especially before the marriage. They are not allowed to. If their husband allow them to work, then they work. That's how the things work. So when the husband of this woman died, she was thrown out of her house by her son. And now she had no place to go. So she decided that I won't go to an old age home. And at the age of 70, she started to work. And that's probably the hardest thing. That's a time of the life when you really want to relax. And that's the time when she started to work. And now she talks to different young women, Muslim women in the society, that you should work from the very beginning so that you don't have to face what I have faced. That's a picture in the mountains again, and I was hanging out with a lot of young girls, and that's one girl who became a very, very close friend, if you can say, friend to me. Her name is Manisha, and these women belong to backward caste, so they don't go to the school. She's just 13, and her routine starts from 4 in the morning. She gets up in the 4, she does her daily chores, she takes animal out for the grazing, she comes back, she takes care of her siblings, she cooks, and then again in the evening she does her cutting and agriculture and stuff. So there's no time for her to study. I was having this feeling that they're already being treated as a woman. She's just 13, but she already has so much of responsibility. But I really wanted to take a picture which still retains her innocence as a child. I didn't want to show her doing some hard work. I just wanted to show that she's still a child, treat her like a child. I usually don't have many pictures of myself in the travel. This happened to be one of the pictures when I'm actually in the picture. So I thought I'll show you. Right, so these stories are important for me, I believe. And through my project, I wanted to tell these stories to the world. The stories of their resilience, the stories of their struggle, the stories which we usually don't see in our social media and in our social circle. So I felt that, using my project, probably I can bridge the gap. I can bring these stories out because it's difficult to reach to these remote villages, and I'm sure the media won't bother about it. So despite all my own struggle in the past, I feel that I have a very privileged life when I compare my life with the life of these women. And in my situation, I really need to have this sense of ownership that if I need to see some change in the how the women are being treated in India, I need to make a step forward. And that's how I made a step forward. And that's how I feel that, the young women in India or in Malaysia or everywhere else in the world, they need to come forward and feel this sense of ownership. And that's the first step. You recognize a problem, and then I am really sure that things will, they will fall on its own place, on its own. You don't have to worry. When I started the project, I had no idea what I'm going to do, how it's going to be, how I'm going to finance the project. Now I already have 2 sponsored projects from 2 art bodies. They wanted me to create this kind of work, and they're sponsoring for this work. Some of these stories have been published in one of the best publications in international media. So the stories are not being published just in India, it's going far away from India, and the world is getting to know about these stories. And that's what I want to do. I don't know how I'm going to make a tangible change. It's possible at times using the crowdsource funding, but my role as a photographer is to tell the stories, connect with these women, respect their individuality, and build a relationship which actually means a human connection. Right, so thank you for listening to me. Thank you so much.